close to moving everything to the account number they gave me.
I almost didn't notice. I was just about to enter my PIN.
I clicked the link, entered my account number, entered my password.
They said my account was under attack, that I needed to act fast.
I checked again.
Before I could think, they sent me an OTP.
But I paused.
I double checked. Hey!
Fraudsters rely on fear, on speed, on pressure. Shine your eye. Stay alert before you act. Stop the fraud. Stop the fraud. This message is brought to you by the Ghana Association of Banks.
If you stop the fraud, you go fit to stop.
So in less than 24 hours, the Black Stars of Ghana would be facing off against the Three Lions of England in the second round of group matches. We're meeting them at Boston in New England. That should give you a hint of the kind of environment we're going to be playing in. I was speaking to two of the best. Michael Otieje is the general manager for sports at Media General, and he's joined us in studio to reflect on the game before he dashes off to the US. We'll also be joined by Samuel Bartels, who's a sports enthusiast, journalist by training, now a telecom executive. Michael, welcome to the show. Good evening.
Thank you, Bernard.
How has it been so far for you?
It's been fun, and the late hours have been great. Having to stay up to sometimes 4 a.m. I saw Egypt win their first World Cup game early into this morning. I've had to stay up pretty late. That's been the drawback, but it's been a wonderful tournament. There's a tournament that started against the backdrop of all the politics. Would Iran be allowed entry? The Somali referee who was denied entry. The conversation about Canada and their immigration rules, and that affects the tournament and everything else. But it's pretty much the story of the Football World Cup. In 2010, the media spent so much time, the Western media, talking about South Africa's crimes and the rest. There was this focus on Carter's human rights record and everything. But when the whistle blows, so
there's always a backstory before the tournament starts.
And one that's really given a lot of oxygen by media organizations. But when the football starts and the players begin to play, then we can focus on the football.
Do you think it was a good idea to expand the tournament to 48 teams?
I don't know. Sometimes I'm a bit conflicted about it, but also I think I look at teams like Cape Verde, who are having the tournament of their lives. When the national anthem of Curaçao rang out in the stadium, it meant so much to everybody there. And you can see the scenes from whether Praia in Cape Verde and everything that it meant. And as a Ghanaian who has benefited from the expansion of the World Cup to 5 teams, first in 2006, before Africa got 5 places, and having seen the impact of the World Cup on football development, on national pride, how big a marketing tool it is, I don't think anybody loses anything that 48 teams out of the countries in the world can show up for a tournament.
I was reading something where Fox News said they took a gamble on the World Cup because they didn't think the Americans would watch. And the numbers are showing over 6 million or some huge figure. So clearly, even the US, where football is not the number one, sort of, they are warming up to the tournament. Yeah,
they are. I mean, Fox paid in excess of $400 million for the World Cup rights. It's a mind-blowing figure. I think China did about 60. The quantum of the World Cup is so immense, and I always try to put it within context for people. I said, for instance, Ghana has showed up at the World Cup, and even without kicking the ball, the Black Stars are guaranteed to earn $12.5 million. 2.5 for preparation, a guaranteed $9 million for playing those 3 games. And if the Black Stars go to the next round of competition, there's about an extra $1 million. You will not find anything as immense. You have to, then you add that to just the travel between Ghana and the USA. What this means for the various embassies, so the Canadian embassy, the American embassy, what this means for travel and tours. I was speaking to somebody today who tells me that the request for jerseys from the accredited sources at the Ghana Football Association has gone up so much that every single day, and like last time we played Panama, the Ghana jersey was everywhere. And I was in Wales with a team about 2 weeks ago, and when I saw the number of Ghanaians who had showed up at the stadium, forgone their shifts, a lot of them health workers, You know, football is wonderful,
Serious.
and nothing exemplifies that than the World Cup.
What have been the tournament so far in terms of the football?
Football, I think it's been good.
Really?
I think it's been good. At the start of the tournament, the UEFA boss, the European football boss, Seferin, suggested there will be a lot of uninteresting games because of the smaller teams. And yet the smaller teams have served as the biggest memories. Because how else do you come up with a plot that says that the goalkeeper of Iran, or Iraq, the goalkeeper of Curacao, the goalkeeper of Cape Verde is a 40-year-old.
Serious.
And he makes so many saves in one game against a proper favorite for the World Cup. This is not an England favorite where they've not won it before. This is a Spain that shows up at major tournaments and wins. Or that you could take the instance of Belgium and the last days of their golden generation, unable to break down an Iran side with everything around the Iranian team. Egypt won their first football match at the World Cup at the 9th attempt last night.
That's mind-boggling.
Yes. But this is an Egypt that has been going to everywhere. I watched Egypt at the World Cup in 1990.
1990, yes.
Yeah. So the football has provided a lot of major pointers. Look at the emotions that Carlos Queiroz showed when the whistle went in that Ghana game. This is a man who has been to World Cups and never managed, apart from with Portugal in 2010, never managed to make it out of the group stage. So I think the football has been worth it. You add this to the fact that everybody who's supposed to be a star has showed up already. Lamine Yamal scored his first World Cup goal. Messi scored a hat-trick. The Dutch are doing well.
I mean,
you know,
this French guy Mbappe has scored 2 beautiful goals.
You know, the story of and the beautiful subplot of how this World Cup is highlighting the trends of globalization, migration. That's epitomized in one brother playing for this country, another brother playing for the other country. Brian Brobbey was savaged by the great Marco van Basten, and then Brobbey goes on to score 2 goals for the Netherlands. His brother Derek Lucassen could be playing for Ghana as a defender.
Lucassen is his brother?
Yeah, his senior brother.
Wow.
So the plots are interesting, and look, Morocco lined up, and none of the players who played for Morocco was born in Morocco. Like, there's so much around it that really gives it
a lot of stories.
Yes, a lot of stories.
And the host teams are doing well.
The hosts are doing well. Canada had never won a game in World Cup history, you know, and then they were winning by 4-1. Mexico are not the greatest team as far as the World Cup is concerned, but they fill stadiums, they've had a goal, and the Americans are looking like a proper dark horse. So it's got every ingredient of a tournament that goes on and thrills people. Of course, the longer the competition wears on, the more like we say, you separate the wheat from the chaff.
My first World Cup I properly watched was 1990. And it seemed to me as if for many years there was a huge gap between the European favorites, of course the South American favorites, Brazil, Argentina, and the rest of the world. Am I right to say that gap has closed?
It's closed, but this is still a really exclusive competition. This is a World Cup that's been won by how many? I think about 8 countries. This is still a World Cup where when Morocco got to the semi-final 4 years ago, they were the first African country to do so. This is still a World Cup where we've not had a finalist from Africa, from Asia. So in many ways, this is still an exclusive party of the South Americans and the Europeans. But the days when Cameroon beat Argentina in the 1990 opening World Cup game and everybody was so shocked, or when Senegal famously beat France with that Papa Bouba Diop goal, the days when those things were such a shock to the rest of the world, it's gone. The playing field is level and lots of factors. So players, teams, I spoke about the example of Morocco and how they're able to call on second generation Moroccans. Many more players are traveling from different parts of the world to play in Europe. Migration has played its part, so the gap has closed. And countries are not afraid to spend money in order to be visible at the World Cup, and it's beginning to show. So every country is doing well. Ghana didn't think that Otuado was going to be good, and Ghana is paying about $100,000 a month to take a veteran coach there just to make sure we don't get embarrassed. A lot of things have changed.
We'll come to Ghana shortly. I'm still generally looking at the World Cup. Can we say that the African challenge has been credible so far?
I think we can. I honestly think we can. So the Black Stars won. Morocco were really good against Brazil. I think they did what they had to do against Scotland in winning by the margin they did. So 4 points in the bag. Egypt drew with Belgium, and then they won their next game. That's 4 points. So effectively you could have Egypt and Morocco as good as into the next round, because the difference with this World Cup as well is that the threshold for qualifying has become a bit lower, because you don't just need to finish in the top 2. You can finish as one of the best 8 third place teams to be able to qualify. So that works a lot of in the advantage. So I think generally the African teams have looked good.
The Ivorians?
Very good. I was actually, but there were elements of the Ivorians in the way African teams used to play in the past at the World Cup. That was so evident.
Oh my God.
You know, they're playing, and then they became a bit too excited. Then they sat deeper and deeper and deeper. And the Germans are a formidable unit.
Yeah.
You know, they punish the hesitancy and everything. But you think of how the World Cup can sometimes shock teams. This is Germany's first foray into the knockout stage since 2014.
Since they won it?
Yes.
So they've been kicked out of the first round?
Yes, in the group stage in 2018 in Russia, and in the group stage in 2022 in Qatar. So everybody has showed up in USA, Canada, and Mexico with a lot of things to rectify, and that's working well. But I think the African teams have showed that we can be pretty good. I hope that Senegal picks up. I don't like the kind of stories coming out of the camp.
Yeah.
But, you know, Cape Verde have been a real credit.
Cape Verde, tell me, I mean, for you, somebody who's covered Africa, if an European journalist asks you about Cape Verde, would you say you were completely surprised of the way they played?
I was actually saying this earlier today on another program. I said 2 things. I think the element of surprise comes in the teams they faced, not in how good they've been. I think typically you're talking 2 of about 8 countries only to have won the World Cup. Spain will beat a lot of teams. Spain will basically shut down a lot of teams, and yet at no point did they look like winning against Cape Verde.
Yeah.
Uruguay are a very, very stubborn side. They give Brazil trouble, they give Argentina trouble.
They have all kinds of tricks.
Yes, they will cheat their way through it. They really don't care. For them, so long as they win, that's the most important thing. And twice Cape Verde came from behind. That was a story on its own. But I commentated on Cape Verde at the 2013 Nations Cup. And I remember very well, they played against Ghana, and Ghana was very lucky to win that game. It was a quarter-final game, and the Black Stars deeply struggled. But even then, remember when we qualified for the World Cup, the game away in Praia against Cape Verde was one of our most difficult. As far as the Nations Cup is concerned, Cape Verde have become a much more credible opponent for many teams on the continent than they have in the past. So in that sense, this is a team that's growing, and the performance in the World Cup is just evidence of that. But you expect a team showing up at its first World Cup to have a bit of stage fright, and they've not shown any evidence of that. And that for me is a sign of a good team. It's also a team that's been there for a very long time. So 2013, they've gone through the ranks. It's pretty much the same.
So they've been together.
Yes, this is a bit like the culmination. But also another side that, in fairness, has made the most of diaspora talent. They've brought together a lot of players who were born in Portugal, in Spain, in England, and the rest, who were playing in lower division teams and the rest, and decided we can make something out of this, and it's working wonders for them.
Wow. This is the point of view. Tonight we're previewing the Ghana-England game, but also looking at the World Cup. It's fair to say we've had about half of the group stage matches played, in a sense. A few teams to play. DRC, 0-0 Portugal. No, is it 1-1? Yeah. Was that a fluke, or they looked?
I think they stuck in well. They stuck in well. Look, I don't think there will be many teams who will be embarrassed at this competition.
Yeah.
So you look at that DRC side again. Their goalkeeper, born in Belgium, made up his mind last minute. He was a credible candidate to play for Belgium. He chose DRC. Their right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Man United. Their left back, I think it's Masuaku,
formerly United.
Formerly West Ham. He went to Galatasaray.
I think there's Twanzebe.
Yes, Twanzebe used to play for United.
Yeah.
They come with this collection of players who realistically were targets for many, many top European teams. In the past, the DR Congo side would have been dominated by TP Mazembe players. But now they are actively going out there shopping. For them, just being at the tournament is a win in itself. Not since 1974 had they been at the World Cup. And and they went through the long route, the playoff,
Yeah.
to beat Nigeria,
Yeah.
and then to go to that intercontinental playoff and get their place. And they showed up at the World Cup with all the swag, you know.
Wow.
So I'm really happy for them. And Portugal is like a really tough team.
Yeah.
But also a team with their own demons on certain days. So DRC sort of just brought out all those demons, and then the Congolese did really well. I think Wise's header was good. That performance was no fluke. And in many ways, they could have gone on to score. It was a very disciplined performance.
Wow.
Like these days, I think at the World Cup, sometimes you must decide that I'm not going to be able to be open. It seems like Cape Verde and the rest. But even with Cape Verde, when they are open, they are still playing a really disciplined defensive line that is difficult to break through. And that shows a lot of tactical awareness. It's a coming of age thing, and I think DRC showed it very well.
Let me speak to Samuel Bartels, who's joined us virtually. Sammy, thanks for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening, Bernard. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Sammy.
How has the tournament been for you so far? Give me your top 2 big stories from the World Cup so far. From a footballing perspective, not politics. From a footballing perspective.
From a footballing perspective, well, the big story is obviously what the debutants are doing, holding their own. It's not been as embarrassing as people expected for some of the debutants. For me, that's a really good story to tell. I heard Michael talk about the Cape Verdean situation. Whatever else happens to them in this World Cup, they have already overachieved. We saw Curaçao manage to get a draw against the team that people were describing as dark horses in this tournament. But for me, the other big story is the extent to which the so-called big guns have been muted, because apart from Messi, who really came to the fore in the opening game of the tournament, many of them really had not shown until last night when Mo Salah managed to get his name on the score sheet. So there's a generation of late 30s, mid 30s, and early 40s players who perhaps have this as their swan song, and especially Cristiano Ronaldo have not taken off yet. So we are waiting with bated breath to see what happens to them in the second round of matches.
Do you agree with Michael on Morocco looking like the real deal?
Here's a statistic that perhaps I'm hoping will be broken. When African teams go deep into the World Cup, in a subsequent tournament, they usually flop. Cameroon made a run to the quarterfinals in 1990. In 1994, it was an embarrassment for them, including that 6-1 defeat against Russia in the final group game. Then Senegal in 2002 makes a deep run. They didn't even qualify for the 2006 tournament. And then you have Ghana making it to the quarterfinal stage of the 2010 tournament. And in 2014, there was the debacle that was Brazil and our participation. And we limped out of this tournament in the first round. So Morocco faces a test as to whether they can top what they did 4 years ago. The only challenge is that they are no longer a surprise package to many. And the question is whether the philosophy of playing very defensive football that worked for them, and the changes that the new coach has made, which is fantastic in playing more expansive football because they have the sort of players to be able to do, whether the shift and the absence of the surprise element will help them go far. We've also seen that they play extremely well at the start of the games, and they seem to taper off, especially in the second half. So yeah, they are certainly a very, very strong side, the strongest among all the African side, and they backed it up with the results.
We'll take a breather.
We will see how things go because of this record.
We'll take a breather. When we come back, we preview the Black Stars game against England. That's happening on Tuesday, I should say. And essentially, we'll be previewing a number of things. We'll look at the Ghana game against Panama, what we learned, England, Croatia, what we gleaned, and what kind of starting lineup we should expect. This is the point of view. Stay with us.
Big game today as Ghana faces England.
You've
forgot the eggs.
And the whole nation is ready. Shot on target. Oh, what a save! Benjamin Asari flying for Ghana.
Politics is always safe. Every day, in the moments we love, we rely on clean and safe water that flows from Polytank.
Good morning, Raquel. Fresh brew coffee for you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Maya.
Oh, you're welcome.
Coffee, tea, red wine, those things cause so much stain on our teeth. But I like to tell my patients that cosmetic whitening is a great, safe, effective way to brighten your teeth, like 4 to 6 shades lighter. So it's important to come in to get an assessment on your teeth to make sure you're a good candidate for whitening, because we want to make sure you have a good foundation.
Yes, I definitely agree. Like you said, and it could be done right here at Bethel Dental.
So I like to make sure patients realize you need to get your whitening done by a licensed dentist or a dental hygienist. So that way you can make sure you're getting the correct product, it's safe, you don't get any burning on your gums, you don't get any sensitivity with your teeth. So those things are super important when you're looking for a place to whiten.
Yes, so why wait? Schedule your appointment today.
Healthy Smile.
Welcome back. So we're still here on the point of view previewing the Ghana-England match. Sam, you've been on this show, I think you were here 2 weeks ago, so I'm going to stick with Michael on his view on the Black Stars generally before we look at the England game. Some people think this is the weakest on paper Black Stars we've had at a World Cup. If you compare it to 2006, 2010, 2014, would you agree?
Let me think through it. It's close. I don't think this is a weaker team than the last one at the
22. Much similar.
Yeah,
but certainly not as good on paper as 2010 or 2014.
No, it's not even close.
Not even close.
It's not even close. It's not close. I think the 2014 team was our best team,
which is sad.
Yeah, because of all the problems that happened. But I think the 2010 team was really good. The 2010 team was like multiple generations coming together at the same time, and the 2006 one, obviously, because it was the first, it was quite special. The reason I don't think this is necessarily the weakest is that this team has. See, in 2022, there were like 15 or so players who were making their debuts. In this team, a lot of those players made their debut in 2022 and have carried on that experience to this side. The only minus is that then this team is without a Kudus, a Jiku, and the rest. And there seems to have been a bit of problem around it. The other problem is that too many of the players in this team who were from the 2022 squad have not sort of built on that. And by that I mean players like Fatawu Issahaku, Kamaldeen Sulemana. When they show up, are they showing up like players who've been played at the World Cup before? Can they own a game? I loved that Issahaku owned the game when he came on against Panama. He was more positive. His attitude was, I'm going to find an end product at all costs, which has always not been the case. But I think that this team should have enough in terms of personnel to give any team a good run for their money. There are two things that we did in the game against Panama. Obviously, it was to halt their poor run of form, 6 games without a win, and then ultimately, in the end, we won a game for the first time since October 2025.
Wow.
In that period, we had lost 5 games to Japan, to South Korea, to Mexico, to Austria, to Germany, and drawn with Wales.
Basically, stop the rot.
Yes.
That was what this was about.
That was basically the first thing. But also to win a football game. But also to fulfill the permutation that everybody had sort of put together about how this group, if Ghana is to progress, how this group was going to pan out. Everybody will look to take points off Panama. If you play against Panama first and you don't do that, you put yourself at a disadvantage. So Ghana has done that. It means that when Ghana plays against England, the pressure not to lose is not as much as if Ghana had not won against. So tomorrow, I hope Ghana does not lose. But if Ghana loses, Ghana still goes into that game against Croatia with a big opportunity to reach the next stage. And that for me is where what will work in our advantage, because it allows us to be able to play with a certain level of freedom that we would not have had if that. So that's for me is why the Panama win was so big. Tomorrow, show up against England, put in your best, but the fact that the England game will not define Ghana's future in this tournament.
That is very important.
It's very, very important.
Before I come to the coach, Sammy, what did you learn about the Stars in that Panama game? Sammy, can you hear me? Yes.
In that Panama game,
yeah,
the first thing was really about the coach himself. He did say after the game that he required a lot of suffering and sacrifices, and the way he played was not much different from how he set up against Wales. So, for anybody who had any illusions about fantasy football, they would have to put pay to that, because a coach will play pragmatic football. He says he's in the results business, and that's what we'll do. That's the first thing that I learned. The second one obviously was Caleb Iheanacho. We know he's capable, of doing all of that, and I felt at some points in the game he was tactically indisciplined because he was all over the place. But that ability to maintain stamina from beginning to the end, in the end, is what got us the goal, and it was quite a resilient performance from the team. The other thing really is about both of our goalkeepers playing in that game and giving a very good account of themselves in that match. So yeah, those were
do you think
from that Panama game?
Godfred said to me that I think he said it not just to me, he said it in one of his broadcasts, that he felt the coach was now trying to understand his team, in a sense that he didn't think the coach knew the players that well. So this match would have given him a good picture. Did you get that sense? People talk about the Jordan Ayew situation, how slow he was and whatever. Did you get the impression that this coach was still learning about this group of players?
Well, he is still learning about the team, because this was the first competitive game. There are things you could test on the training grounds, but it's really in a game that you are exposed. And I felt that whatever it is that he was learning, he made the right adjustments, which in the end paid off for Ghana. But as far as his first half was concerned, I believe it was a very intentional plan to try as much as possible to soak as much as the opponent could throw at them. I like to compare it with a defensive boxer who is doing a rope-a-dope and trying to get an opponent to punch themselves out, in which case then they take their counter shots when that opponent is at their weakest, which is what he did by bringing the speedy boys and getting the result. So if the coach has been in charge for less than 2 months, he certainly would not know 100% about his team. But I think when it comes to the Jordan situation, it's not too much about him learning about him, because he knows what his strengths and weaknesses are. But I think it's about a deliberate decision the coach has made to have a certain level of experience in the attack. The real question will be what he decides to do with him in view of his obvious limitations. But he would need that leadership. That's why he has him there. And it may sound like a very tiny record, but the Opta stats found out that he won 8 headed duels, which was the third by any player in this competition, which shows again that in terms of the balls that were looked over into the opponent's half and his ability to bring that down and bring others in, he was a focal point. And that perhaps would have been something that a coach would be happy about. And to much to everybody's chagrin, might decide to keep him on for that reason.
Michael, could we tell the difference in coaching looking at this game compared to Otto?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I could tell against Wales, I could tell against Panama.
Wow.
There was
even Wales, you could tell.
Yeah. The Wales game was was the first moment that you could tell what the defensive structure was going to be. You could tell that, okay, everybody says this is how Carlos Queiroz plays, and you could see that straight down the line. And I remember discussing with Godfred after the game. I said, look, the team that started, the defensive line that started, will be the one that starts against Panama. Lawrence Atizigi in post, Marvin Senaya at right back, Gideon Mensah at left back, Jonas Ajete, and the gentleman Jerome Opoku. And those were the same players who started. But this was based purely because it was a friendly, but each one of them played at least 70 minutes against Wales.
You could tell that.
Yes. The coach was giving every one of those players the time to become familiar with each other as much as possible. So it was very obvious what he was doing. It was also obvious that Partey was going to be one of his first preferred central midfield options, and that's why he was so upset when Partey didn't make it. But it was also obvious that he was going to play Elisha Owusu. In the absence of Partey, Owusu had become even more important because of the experience issue. And then he started Kamaldeen in that game. He started Kamaldeen in the Panama game. He brought in Enes Nyama, who had a big say. He started Caleb Birinchi in midfield in that game. He started Caleb in this one as well. So it was quite obvious.
You can see what he's doing.
Yes. It's obvious that he wants his teams to be rock solid at the back, but also being rock solid at the back, it's not just a function of this team and this coach. It's a function of the way we've played at the World Cup. Every time we've done well at the World Cup, one of our biggest trump cards has been our ability to keep things really, really solid and grounded at the back. 2006 against Serbia, 2010. Our games were boring in 2010.
One goal project.
Yes, we sort of carried that, but it's also because of this that the sort of players that maybe me and you will not like, whose end product we ask significant questions of, Kamaldeen, Enes Nyama, Fatawu Issahaku, seems to be the ones that he picks. So against Panama, it was obvious. You're going to sit back as much as you can, and we are going to break as quickly as we can. The solution to that, play two of the fastest wingers in the game. Nyama, Kamaldeen, Sulemana. And you are going to...
And the goal came from such a transition.
Yes. The Jordan issue is a classic conundrum that we've had to deal with every time. For Ghana, whenever a player gets to that stage, and Jordan became Ghana's most capped player with 121 appearances in that game against Panama. But every time we've got into this stage, we've had to battle in our minds whether the player who is getting towards the end is worth it. And I take a cue from some stats, but also just from some of the FIFA technical study that said Jordan was the single most important factor that forced mistakes of the Panama team. And I think he was in mainly. Both he and Elisha were in because without Partey, without them, without Jiku, without Salisu,
the ball can stick to a bit.
Yes, but he also needed someone who was experienced, someone who was used to this stage a bit, someone who could carry the team a bit more. Of course, the coach will have to make, maybe if there was anything he didn't do right, it was that maybe Jordan stayed on for too long. And I really feel that we've not utilized Inaki Williams well long term. But I thought that Jordan did what he had to do. He will help himself a lot more if the release of the ball is fast. But I think that he's a very technically good player and somebody who's earned his stripe to be leading Ghana at this level.
Sami, what do you think the big one or two questions are for this coach in terms of selection ahead of the England game? Looking at Wales and Panama, what are the top 2 or 3 selection questions he has to answer?
Well, I don't know if Atizigi is fit, but that's where it starts from. If Ati is fit and clear to play, he should start. But if there are doubts over his complete fitness, then the coach will have to make a call and probably decide that Benjamin Asare starts. So for me, that's the first big call. The second big call has to do with the return of Partey. We know the coach would like to have an experienced hand. He had experienced hands when he was playing, when he was coaching Iran, and he liked to start his experienced hands because they're an extension of his tactical strategy on the field. If Partey starts with all that we expect to rain down from the stands and everything else concerning him, the question then becomes, who do you pair him against? Especially in the first half where we expect the Black Stars to double down and try to, as much as possible, hold the English. So that's a big decision to make. Caleb Younchi, who has made all the right, given all the right reasons why he should start. He's got the lungs, he's got the energy for this. Do you start him and still allow him to do the runs that he was making forward, in which case Partey stays behind him, or you start Partey and Elisha, or Caleb and Elisha, and you allow Partey to come on and play for a shorter period? So that's the other call that he has to make. The other big question, and people have raised, has to do with Sulemana starting. He's played him in the middle, he's played him out wide. And the way we played in the first half against Panama really did not allow Semenyo to express himself as much. He's a player who doesn't like the ball to be played to his feet. He likes to play into space. And that didn't work out in the first half. So do you start Sulemana, or based on people's clamoring, you bring in Brandon Thomas Asante and playing him in this game because of the impact that he has had? So those are the big calls. And again, if he plays Jordan, and I heard what Michael said, it's indeed the case. The timing for the substitution makes a lot of difference. Some countries have had it wrong. Senegal had it wrong, they paid for it. Côte d'Ivoire had it wrong, they paid for it. It doesn't have to be reactive, it has to be proactive. So getting those calls right will be extremely important. And I think at some point in this English game, Inaki Williams has to play a role and has to come in as one of the forwards to make an impact in this. So for me, those are the big calls that he has to make. The other one maybe would be the Fatawu Nyama situation. Nyama was extremely good, but he kept running into cul-de-sacs. People are beginning to ask, is he better coming off the bench as an impact player? Or the other way around?
So I think of the Nyama situation this way. So this is a player who had a really big long-term injury. He's come back. He came off the bench in the game against Wales, and his impact was boom. But this is the mistake that sometimes we make, is when a player does well as a sub, then all of a sudden
we assume he can start.
Yes, and that's why I think that we need to be a bit careful with Brandon Thomas Asante. One of the reasons that he was so efficient is he sat on the bench, he studied everything going on around. He in fact said this morning in an interview with the GFA that he knew the right back very well from the championship in England and knew how he played. He knew the moment the ball was played that the right back was going to go down. And so by the time he got there, he knew what to do. Yeah. But when you start a game against the English, it's a completely different ball game. So we've got to think really deeply about it, because if we get the first half wrong, we'll be in very bad business. If you go behind against this English team, you will struggle to find anything. The point is to frustrate them for as long as possible and get the required result, and I hope that we are really able to do that. I've always said, and I say this purely out of hope more than anything logical and scientific, but I've always said that the Black Stars owe Ghanaians one massive performance at the World Cup. The Czech Republic one was 20 years ago. It's been too long.
I can't believe 2006 is 20 years ago. I remember like yesterday.
I'm telling you.
God, 20 years ago.
Everybody thought we were going to lose. Like literally the whole country thought we were going to lose. But since then, we had one good game against Germany in 2014, and it would be South Korea. But that's a game we expect to win at the World Cup. We couldn't get past Uruguay, so basically the Black Stars owe us one big one, and maybe the World Cup deserves one big result apart from the draws. I hope we provide that. I hope we provide that.
Well, we'll come and talk about the party and the psychology of the match as we wrap up. This is a preview of the big game for tomorrow. My guests, Michael Otieje and Samuel Bartel. Stay with us.
Smile, Look lively, okay? Smile, smile. Is the money too small? A bad stomach ruins your day. Don't let it. Take Gastron, your most effective antacid for the relief of symptoms of peptic ulcer, heartburn, gas pain, flatulence, and indigestion.
Hey guys, what are you waiting for? Let's go, let's go.
Mwah. Can you bring down the smiles more? Gastron, effective relief from stomach discomfort. Manufactured and distributed by NS Chemist Limited. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the FDA.
My line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini, who be here, Semetra Sapapadia to Amame Manfo, Kel Charcoal's natural ingredients, and a bomb is so by a maniswing, Nesansu Mama Hotoso, a bedroom.
Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Choose Kel Charcoal Toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Imagine a life where every moment flows effortlessly, where every choice brings you closer to the life you've always wanted. Give yourself more ways to receive joy. Have more time to party. With G-Money, every moment flows seamlessly. Just pay and keep the good vibes going. Instantly top up airtime or data so you never miss life's special moments, because your memories together should matter more. Give yourself more freedom to celebrate. Pay bills quickly and seamlessly so nothing disrupts your moments. Have more financial control. With G-Money, you can effortlessly manage bulk payments and keep your business running smoothly. Dial *488# or download the app and explore the new G-Money today. G-Money. Give yourself more.
Welcome back. This is Still the Point of View. We're previewing the Ghana-England game. My guests, Samuel Bartels and Michael Otieje. I don't know what to call him, a journalist or I mean, he does this so well. He's a broadcast, what are you, a broadcast what? a broadcast professional, but also a journalist or a telecoms professional. England, what did you learn about them against Croatia?
That they are a very formidable side. That they are proper favorites for this World Cup. I call them the dark horse and people didn't like it. I still think they're dark horse though, but look, that game against the Croatians, they were so physical.
Yeah.
They took the Croatians apart. They made the most of the fact that this is an aging Croatian side. Basically, every perceived strength about the English, they demonstrated in the game against Croatia. The quality of finishing, the defending, the depth and strength of their midfield. It was literally everywhere. And it was so good to see. You know, you could tell that it meant business. But the part that I felt sorry for the Croatians was England was dominating this game and they were making changes. And who were they bringing on? Marcus Rashford. You know,
I mean, world-class players coming on as substitutes.
You know, so for me that is where the thing is. They're a really good side. They will punish mistakes. And to think of how the English approach games against teams from this continent, 1990, you saw them against Cameroon. They were ruthless in punishing every single mistake the Cameroonians made. In 8 World Cup matches against African teams, they won 5 and they've drawn 3.
They haven't lost yet.
Yes. They're really strong.
And they have possibly in Kane the best striker in the world.
Absolutely. You know, Kane will finish half chances. He will finish the most
complex. He will score with his tongue. He will score
All he needs to do is he wants a touch of that ball into the net.
I mean, I saw a game in Bayern versus some Champions League. He scored almost off balance.
He's really good.
Yeah,
that guy is one of those players who doesn't need a trophy to prove his greatness.
Yeah,
you know. But in addition to Kane, they've not even called on Ivan Toney yet.
Yeah,
a player who is really like Marcus Rashford came off the back of the season with Barcelona in really good form. Sorry,
he hasn't even played.
Yes,
I think the coach seems to prefer Madueke for some reason.
Yeah, and Madueke and Bukayo Saka's fitness is a problem, but like they have really
Bellingham.
Yes,
so these are big names.
massive names.
Which is why we may have to use our experienced players who will not be phased.
Yes, but you see, you have to use experienced players who will not be phased, but also players who can deal with the physicality and the demands. Because the English will literally strangle you for oxygen with the ball. Against Panama, we had about 37% of the possession. We'll be lucky to get more.
And this is Panama?
Yes. We'll be lucky to get more against the English. Or more like it, against Panama, we didn't want the ball.
Fair enough.
Against the English, you have to chase the ball. So they will pick the ball, and they're not going to be the Panama that just keeps knocking it at the back. They're going to knock it in the most important part of the field, which is your final third, which means your running will be more intense. The tackles in the box will have to be more timely. The danger spots will be almost everywhere, and that will be like a really key determinant. I've seen a lot of the praise for Jerome Opoku, for Jonas Ajite, and the rest.
This is a real test.
Yes,
it's a different level of test.
This one is different. This one is different. You mistime the tackle by 1 microsecond, that will be a penalty. Remember when we played against Portugal in 2022, when Salisu went for that tackle with Cristiano Ronaldo, it was a tackle for it to be won, and yet he mistimed it by just that 1 second, and they had a penalty. The margin for error
is very
in games like this is very low. So hopefully we get that right.
So I mean, how formidable are the English? Are they favourites for the tournament? Forget about the match.
We need to realize is that the English team is such a young team, and yet it's such an experienced team. Some of the players on this team have played since the 2018 World Cup. Pickford, Stones, all these guys. They have like 13 World Cup matches between them, and then you have the Rashfords and the rest. What Gareth Southgate did give to this English team is consistency. So suddenly they become used to getting to quarterfinal, semi-final, finals of international competition, something that they did not used to do previously. And so there's a natural swagger that comes with how they are playing now, almost like we belong here. And against Croatia, you could tell, because after the first half, they came in the second half, played some of the best football within 15 minutes, and we're already up and looking like they will cruise to a win. And this was against world-class opposition. So that's just how formidable the English are, that now they just carry a certain expectation among themselves that makes them very difficult to beat by anybody else. And so a few things that we need to, I know we love to play against England, although we played against them only once in that Wembley game. There's that connection, former colonial masters, and players will obviously need to be motivated. But for me, discipline beats motivation. We've seen from some of the African teams in this competition that occasions can get to you. South Africa in the opening game against Mexico, their coach says it wasn't a tactical issue, it was an experience issue, because the occasion just overawed them and they made basic errors. And as Michael said, fine margins, tackles that get you the red card in this tournament. And so it's going to be discipline. And Malik Thiaw, the Senegal coach, was saying African teams must learn that the concentration is not just for 90 minutes, it's for 95 plus minutes. Because some of the goals we've conceded, moments where chances fall to players and they were not prepared for it, like the Adingra situation.
Oh my God, don't remind
Those
me.
are the moments that will count in this game against England.
Huge chance.
I couldn't
whether
believe
you're a
it.
forward or a defender.
I mean, he didn't even register a shot. I mean, I was like, Adingra, at least kick the ball. Why?
He reminded me of you versus Germany.
And it was taking so those are, it will come down to moments. You may have one attack. What do you make of it? And in defense, you may defend for so long, but as we have observed, the English bench is so strong, and those players will come on and will press you. We also have to remember that Carlos Queiroz's biggest defeat as a national team coach came against England at the last World Cup, 6-2.
Oh Lord!
England beat Iran,
and in that game, tell me why?
In that game, Iran ended the game with 24% possession, and hopefully, and so he's very familiar with this English team because most of the players in here played in that game. But then they sat too deep to be able to hit the English on the counter. Hence the 6 goals they conceded, despite giving a good account of themselves. So hopefully he would have learned from that. And unlike the Panama game, we've seen that with Uruguay, the Uruguay game against Cape Verde. Although Cape Verde were very defensive and very, very compact and very disciplined, when the chance came to go out, they did it with aplomb and took advantage of that. So that's going to be the difference. unlike the Panama game, you can't sit too deep for too long. At some point, you have to give your opponent something to think about. And in the English team, they would find spaces, especially behind the wing backs, that they would have to take advantage of. The other point is, again, going back to the discipline. How Cape Verde goes across two games and commits just 6 fouls. No, actually just 5. 1 in the first game against Spain and just 4. It's going to be crucial to try to minimize the sort of tackles that will get you cards, because you are just 1 card away from having 1 man down. Imagine playing 10 against 11 against England. And so some of the players, especially those who play in England, will have to keep it in, would have to hold it tight as far as the discipline and motivation, because you'll be playing against players that you may have played against maybe in England, and you feel like this is the moment to show what you are capable of doing. So whatever his strategy is, we have to be able to hold it down for 100 minutes. But the English are not invincible. I saw the game against New Zealand, and although it was just a friendly match, the New Zealanders were ready to compete for every single 50-50 ball. We were second best for a lot of the 50-50 balls against Panama, and we'll have to do better when it comes to that. But for me, the main thing is to keep the discipline of the strategy, and when the moments come, be ready for the moments, unlike we've seen with some of the other African countries. And I hope he gets to make his substitutions on time. The Senegalese were gassed after 60 minutes. That's why the French took them. The Cote d'Ivoire team were reactive in their changes. We knew that by the 60th minute, Nagelsmann was going to make his changes. He was going to change the positioning of the players. The Ivorians behaved as if they almost didn't see it coming. And we saw how it changed the game. When you are playing against elite opposition, it doesn't matter how well you play for 60 minutes. It just takes a few minutes for them to turn the game on its head. And for me, those will be the crucial things. But I have no doubt that as much as England being favorites in this one, Ghana could go into this game and really get at least a draw against the English.
How crucial will Partey be as we wrap up? There's been a whole lot of talk about him.
He will be huge. He's an experienced player. Part of the reason why this has been so intense is, of course, because of the gravity of the charges against him, but also because the English are fully aware of how important he is. I thought today that it was significant that the GFA put him out for media duties.
Don't hide.
Yeah, I think
face the media.
That's him saying, I'm not hiding.
Correct.
I'm ready for the booze, and I'm ready for this game. And if the party have known and interacted with anybody to go by, he probably will play the best game of his life against the English. He will be so
He's
important.
mentally tough.
Yes. He will be so important to stopping the moves, releasing the balls. He will be so important to bring the sort of stability you need and allow the likes of Caleb and the rest to break quickly when they do. But this game will test him. The Bulls will be definitely around the stadium.
So the English have made up their mind to pick on him.
No, basically, they made him, because of the issues around him, of course, even without any prompting, the fans would boo him. If he had gone to Toronto, same would have happened. I heard it in Cardiff. It's something that he has to learn to live with. It happens to him in La Liga games and all that. You have to hope that Queiroz has done his work well, the team psychologists have done their work well, and the entire team have done their work well. I thought, I don't know, maybe we can only judge the wisdom of the decision to put him up today for the media interviews, but I thought it was him saying, I'm up for this, I'm ready for this. And I think if he plays his football well, he will be huge in the way this goes, because he knows how to step up when the game is played.
You said something that this game is not we are not desperate in, so essentially if I say damage limitation, is that a good word? Am I being defeated? Because the English team are highly ranked, and they are they have superior players.
You're going
generally.
to go into a game and there I think there are 3 or 4 scenarios. One, you lose the game, but you don't lose by a big margin, because goal difference will play a big part. 2, you try to get a draw. 3, you're going to realize that no matter how good the English are, there will be moments when you can win. My trick will be try and score as early as you can. Basically, like Sammy said, give the English things to think about. Break quickly, make every break count. I think players, there's a subplot to this that we've not discussed enough. So many of our players were either born or were raised in England. They will be playing with their friends, and they will be playing against the country of their kids, the neighbors they grew up with, and the rest. The emotional, the emotions that carries. It's a bit like when France played Senegal and the rest. it will be so important. Jerome Opoku grew up in London. Brandon Thomas Asante was born to a Ghanaian father, a Jamaican mother. He's British. His kids are British. There is Semenyo, who was born in London. There is so much riding on this that I think that this game will be a very emotive game. And that's where the manager is important, to let the players understand that this game is not about proving a point to your friends and the rest. This game is about ensuring that 1, you don't lose, 2, you don't lose heavily, and 3, you get at least a point out of this game. And if we think of it that way, I think we'll be all right.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Sami Bartel. Safe trip to the US. Sami Bartels, thank you for keeping up with the sports like the walking encyclopedia that you are. And tomorrow is going to be exciting. We'll all be watching. And go Ghana, go Black Stars, and may we come out unscathed. My name is Bernard Ablet. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.